My name's Scott Walter. I'm the Area Wildlife Supervisor for the Wisconsin DNR. So we're on the Kickapoo Valley Reserve, standing right near what was to be the dam, the Lafarge Dam on the reserve, and we're going to take a group of hunters through a copper bullet demonstration. Of course, people have been knowledgeable about the potential impacts of lead on human health for many, many decades. After all, we've taken lead out of our gasoline, we've taken lead out of our paint, but lead still persists in fishing tackle, in ammunition, things like that. So today's demonstration is just a way to express some of the concern and increase awareness about the potential negative impacts of lead in those environments.
My name is Dan Goltz. I'm a wildlife biologist with the Department of Natural Resources, and I work in Viroqua, covering Vernon and Crawford counties. What we're kind of reproducing today is a study that retired biologist Carl Batha and Phil Lehman did about 10 years ago for the DNR. It was a demonstration comparing lead core and solid copper bullets. This is what a solid copper bullet looks like after it's shot into, an animal, or today in our demonstration we're going to be using water jugs, and we'll be able to actually capture the bullets. And so they have little petals on them that open up, and the important thing is that they don't fragment and fall apart like lead core bullets do. If you think of a traditional lead core bullet, the majority of the bullet itself is lead with a thin copper jacket around the outside, and most of those bullet designs fragment when they go into an animal and leave tiny flecks of lead throughout the wound cavity. Solid copper bullet doesn't do that. They don't break apart at all. They retain all of their mass, and they have specially designed petals that open up to inflict a little more damage. And so today we're going to be able to actually capture all those lead particles when we shoot in the milk jugs filled with water.
Today the hunters will be firing both a lead core bullet, which is a traditional rifle round, and a solid copper bullet, which is newer on the market, but of course doesn't contain lead. And we've got a device that's been developed by our staff that the hunters will fire into with both those rounds, and the water will capture all the fragments. And the demonstration, I think, is really instructive, because what you see is a high level of fragmentation of the lead core bullet, the traditional rifle round.
They'll shoot their traditional lead core bullet into the milk jugs, and they typically penetrate 4 or 5 milk jugs depending on the caliber of ammunition that they're using. And all those lead fragments ideally will be caught in the water inside these milk jugs. And then we're going to pour the water out through a paint filter, and we should be able to capture all of the little lead fragments in the paint filter.
The lead core bullet, the traditional rifle round, it literally turns into coffee grounds, and those small fragments of lead penetrate the meat, and then of course can be consumed by humans or can be picked up and ingested by wildlife. The copper bullet, on the other hand, tends to hold together better. It's still an accurate, effective rifle round, but it doesn't leave those metal fragments throughout the meat.
This will let the participants see firsthand the difference between a lead core bullet, which breaks apart into tiny pieces, and a solid copper bullet, which remains intact.
Hunters probably have questions about, one, the availability of it, and two, the cost of copper ammunition.
My name is Dick Wallen. I am the chairman of the Kickapoo Valley Reserve Management Board. I'm a retired conservation officer and a 44-year hunter ed instructor. Well, right now, ammunition of any kind is not very readily available, but I just checked on the Cabela's site the other day. They carry 3 grades of federal copper bulleted ammunition, all out of stock, but and they're within about the same price range of those same grades of ammunition in lead core.
The main thing that we want to show today is just how much lead core bullets actually fragment.
Do you think some people are going to be surprised by what we see today with this demonstration?
I think we're going to have some surprised hunters who, the goal really is just to get them to think about these things and make the appropriate choices for themselves and their families moving forward. Who'd like to go first?
dead jugs. There's a little fleck.
Yeah, buried in the plastic.
Yeah, it was right in the plastic.
Let's pour a little bit of water into here and kind of swish this one out.
Okay.
The larger lead fragments, when the deer or whatever animal is being butchered, are often found and they'll be removed. But again, that lead fragments often into such small pieces that you won't detect it. It'll be in the meat, it'll be ingested as the venison is consumed, but they're so small they're hard to detect.
Okay, so this is the biggest piece left of the core. There is no copper jacket left on there. It's separated. There are some little copper pieces as that came apart, but there's all kinds of lead, little fragments in there.
So the small little fragments of lead that we're collecting are, some of them are barely visible, just little tiny specks or lead dust that's left behind in the carcass of a deer. And in terms of lethality to eagles, we know that a very, very small amount of lead, only I believe it's 30 or 40 milligrams, is enough to kill an adult bald eagle. And so if you took a piece of number 4 birdshot that weighs about 200 milligrams, and if you were able to cut that into 4 pieces and feed each one of those pieces to an adult eagle, it would kill all of them. So it's just a very small amount, at least in the eagle species.
Okay, so when we run the experiment with the copper, what should we expect to see?
It's a solid copper bullet fired into milk jugs full of water. The bullet should not fragment or fall apart at all, but remain intact and will be captured in the 4th or 5th milk jug. And we should be able to just reach in there and pull it out and hand it out to the participants as a souvenir.
I'd say the milk jug is dead.
Let's see it. Whoa, you really got
It's a
it.
trophy.
I think we got most of it in there. We'll see those partitions.
Okay.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep, there's no flecks in this filter at all. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
Did you find the bullet then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yep.
There's the main bullet.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's how they're designed.
Water actually.